Diddy, you know Diddy?
Diddy,
One of my best friends,
Okay.
right? Okay. When you want to be a Kappa, you want to be Kappa, you want to be Alpha, whatever the f it is, okay? We're gonna haze you, and haze you, and haze you, until you are a Kappa. That's what happened. People sold their souls to Diddy. And then they're mad now because the hazing process was a little bit rougher than they thought.
Los Angeles just got a whole lot hotter. Orlando Brown, the former TV star whose roller coaster journey has been all over your timeline, has officially agreed to testify against Sean Diddy Combs in a major federal case. Yep, you heard that? Right. Court docs dropped today confirming that Brown's now a key witness for the prosecution. And guess what? He's coming in hot with secret voice memos, not one, not two, but 3 weekends he spent at properties linked to Diddy.
Nigga, you can't de-king a king. Why do you think I love Diddy so much? You're not gonna dethrone this man because he know how to get you there. By way of hazing you, I call it haze. And we're gonna still do this. We're gonna still do this. It's not gonna stop. Take that. It's still gonna happen. The bitch got 3 million and we're still waking up in the morning, drinking cognac, screaming, bad boy, bad boy.
According to Brown's team, these voice memos were captured on a secret phone he kept on airplane mode, only turning it on briefly to record his thoughts. He was apparently tracking everything who was in the guest wing, what staff was doing late. At night, even the sounds echoing in the hallways. Federal agents say the audio files are packed with metadata that syncs perfectly with the wireless router logs they already have. And hold on, there's more. A sealed affidavit that just got partially unsealed says Brown's phone ID shows up in those restricted zones, exactly when he said he was there.
Diddy's trying to kill me. You know, Diddy and Jay-Z, Auntie Sean and Auntie Yolanda. No matter how many contracts you try to take out on my life, no matter how many times you try to threaten my family or threaten people to stay away from me, no matter how many things you try to do to me and how many things you've tried to do to me, it ain't working. Don't play with somebody that you know got the drop.
I literally took one sip of my beverage and the whole side of my face felt like I had a stroke.
Brown's memos even picked up security radio chatter, using the phrase, heartbeat reset. Allegedly, that means the doors were cycling and cameras were temporarily dimmed. But the defense? They're calling it harmless, claiming Brown's just trying to score points in an unrelated Nevada firearm case. Still, Brown's locked into a cooperation deal, and if he plays his cards right, he could get a break in that case. But he's not just talking for no reason. His legal deal demands the whole truth, no bending the facts.
I got on a plane at 5:30 a.m. So this party, I think half the people there were butt naked.
Well, it's not up to me. It's up to Mr. Combs, and I don't see it happening.
Why?
Because he believes he's innocent. He believes he's innocent, and what's more, he believes that he needs to stand up, not just for himself, for his family, and for everybody who's been targeted by the federal government.
Brown's cooperation deal is clear. Lie, or even bend the truth, and any chance at leniency is gone. Prosecutors say that clause proves he has every reason to get the details right. The defense? They're flipping it, claiming he's just trying to save his own skin. Judge Aaron Subramanian's not wasting time. He's already set a quick hearing to discuss the chain of custody for Brown's recordings. And it's been confirmed Brown will testify in the second week of the prosecution's case. Inside that courtroom, it's about to get intense. The prosecutors are ready with a slick plan. Play Brown's audio memos in chronological order and sync them up with network visuals. Think door sensor pings and lighting shifts happening right alongside his voice. Then, a digital forensics expert will testify, confirming the recordings are raw. No edits, no cuts, no tricks. But the defense is coming in hot, bringing in a hospitality consultant to argue that luxury estates often turn off hallway cameras to protect guest privacy, not to hide anything shady. And they'll claim those linen receipts, just regular business for high-end events.
Well, Bill and Sade, accepting a plea agreement would mean that Sean Combs would have to admit to trafficking and force. And today he made it very clear that was not going to happen. Diddy maintained all along these encounters involved consenting adults and plans to take his chances that a jury agrees.
Isn't that, to my mind, that's one of the bigger hurdles in selecting a jury this coming week, is that there is, at least anecdotally, and when I talk to people, they have that opinion, strongly held opinion, that there's celebrity tapes, that they've kind of conflated Epstein, and you mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell and all of these things into Diddy. There's this idea that somehow this is Epstein redux or something.
Outside the courtroom, the aftermath has already begun. Major talent agencies are already revising their event safety protocols, now insisting on clear phone policies, real-time guest exits, and third-party reps who can document questionable activities without needing prior consent. One of the leading private event insurance companies is even overhauling their procedures, asking new questions about everything from door locks to lighting control and staff communication. In an unexpected twist, lawmakers have included Brown's name on the witness list for upcoming hearings on a new piece of legislation, the Creative Industry Guest Safety Act, which aims to fund anonymous tip lines for reporting misconduct at events. This trial is more than just making headlines. It's rattling the entertainment industry to its core. A new bill is now pushing for minimum training standards for event security teams, and performers' advocacy groups are praising Orlando Brown for stepping up. They say his brave move proves that personal recordings can be a vital tool when official systems fail to deliver. Meanwhile, Sean Diddy Combs remains locked in federal custody, awaiting his day in court. His legal team filed new documents today, arguing that the changing linen orders, door sensor alerts, and fluctuating lighting adjustments that prosecutors are making a big deal about are nothing more than normal operations at any luxury estate. But prosecutors shot back, claiming that these data points align perfectly, right down to the second, with Brown's voice memos. That kind of precise match tells a compelling story. As jury selection nears, the stakes are high. Voir dire questionnaires are already in circulation, and there's a new question added. Will your knowledge of Brown from his TV career affect your judgment? If any juror answers yes, they'll be dismissed. No debate. If the jury buys into Brown's side of the story and believes his recordings are legitimate, time-stamped proof, the prosecutors will have something massive on their hands, a first-hand account to back up all the tech evidence.
What made you come here to support Puff?
I'm supporting Puff because he's innocent, and I'm wholeheartedly believing his innocence, and I know he's innocent. So,
Well, you said you know he's innocent.
1,000%.
Mr. Combs feels A, he's innocent, which is why he's not going to plead guilty. B, he's going to be truthful about this case because he wants to portray that to the people who have loved him his whole life. And I think he also feels an obligation to people in general. Maybe it's black people, maybe it's white people, maybe it's anybody who's ever felt aggrieved and targeted by the government. He feels an obligation to those people to say, you know what? Maybe I can break the model. Maybe I can show the world that a black man can win, in federal court. And I think he probably is the only person I know of who might be able to actually accomplish that.
And when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
But the defense is gearing up for a tough battle, trying to prevent Brown's past scandals from overshadowing what's truly at stake in the trial. They'll argue that all of this is just routine estate management being blown out of proportion. The clock's ticking. Both sides are pushing hard to stay on track. Prosecutors say they'll wrap things up right after Brown testifies. The defense has yet to confirm if Combs will take the stand himself. Closing arguments are set for early next month, and the jury will have to sift through a mountain of evidence from router logs to lighting maps, and possibly even Brown's voice memos. The moment Orlando Brown's corridor audio hit the courtroom, things got real technical, real quick. As soon as his subpoena was locked in, the trial moved into the evidence phase. Leading the charge was Special Agent Lynn Rivas, the digital forensics expert who imaged Brown's secret phone. Rivas walked the jury through the process step by step, explaining how her team cloned the phone's internal drive, created a hash value, a kind of digital fingerprint, and made a copy they could safely examine. That hash value? It remained identical through every transfer, something even the defense had to concede. But they didn't let it slide. They tried to challenge her, questioning whether any editing might have been preset on the device. Riva stood firm. She told the court that deep waveform scans revealed 0 signs of tampering, no cuts, no edits. And the audio file's timestamps? They matched up perfectly with the phone's system logs. Once everything was verified, the prosecution played the first voice memo, timestamped at 1 a.m. during Brown's first known visit.
Now, as far as jury selection goes, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that both sides expect to have all of this done in the matter of 3 days. Now, given just how high profile this trial is, I was kind of stunned that they seem very confident that they will be able to seat a jury in that amount of time.
What happens is if people go into a trial believing the firepower on the prosecution is so strong, I mean, let's say on a scale of 1 to 100, it's a 95, that it's so strong, but it goes down to an 88. That helps the defense because everybody goes in thinking, wow, they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and all of a sudden, none of it's there. I think that actually helps the defense.
The courtroom fell silent as the clip played. Brown whispered, "North wing, second corridor," followed by faint radio static. Then it dropped. Heartbeat reset. Boom. Prosecutors froze the audio and displayed a matching router log on the screen. The log showed Brown's phone briefly connecting to an access point named GuestUp N2, sending out a file header before going silent again.
The last hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts. When he walked into federal court today, he appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings.
Do you still think that, because there is this public perception, that there are celebrity tapes involved in this case?
No.
Do you still think that there are minors involved in this case?
I'm certain no.
Okay.
And again, when you say this case, we're talking the criminal case.
The criminal case.
In the
correct.
criminal,
I know that.
In the criminal case, no.
Defense attorney Matthew Hartley tried to dismiss it, suggesting the phone probably just woke up to sync its clock. But Rivas shot back, pointing out that the phone had no SIM card and no stored Wi-Fi networks for automatic syncing. That meant someone intentionally powered it on. Then, the prosecution unveiled another crucial piece of the puzzle, a procurement ledger already verified by State Supply Coordinator Olivia Martinez. Suddenly, the tension in the room surged. The heat kept rising as prosecutors presented a ledger, showing a late-night order labeled Guest Refresh with a rush code, accompanied by a handwritten note reading, "Use Heartbeat Cart." Olivia Martinez took the stand and explained that the note referred to a special color-coded laundry cart, only used in the guest wing for urgent requests. The defense tried to challenge her memory, mentioning that the order happened years ago. But Martinez stood firm, saying that only high-priority needs warranted the use of the heartbeat cart. Next up was Tyler Blake, a building automation engineer who maintained the estate's lighting system. He confirmed that the maintenance log showed 4 manual overrides that weekend, all in the guest wing, each one dimming the lights for exactly 6 minutes. Prosecutors followed up with a slick line graph that mapped the lighting dips to peaks in Brown's voice memos, and they aligned perfectly. Defense attorney Hartley pushed back, suggesting that maybe a stylist or photographer could have triggered those changes for aesthetic reasons. Blake agreed that manual overrides were technically possible, but added a twist. Normally, a memo would be entered explaining the override. But these 4? No memos at all. Then, it was time for Orlando Brown to take the stand. Prosecutor Celia. Grant started strong, asking him to confirm the voice on the memos. Brown answered with a simple, "Yes, that's me."
Back up a little bit, please.
How can you support your father? And how do you support him moving forward?
Y'all know what this is about. Put your hands up.
At trial, Combs will ditch the jail garb and wear ordinary clothes, as his lawyers argue the evidence shows consenting adults being intimate in their own way.
We have the latest from federal court in the Sean Combs criminal case. Status of jury selection, what Diddy's going to be wearing, violation of a gag order, rejecting a plea offer.
Brown told the court he handed over his primary phone during check-in and was asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement on a tablet. However, he secretly kept a second phone, explaining that the entire setup felt suspicious, and he wanted to document everything for his own protection. When Hartley took over for cross-examination, he came out swinging, highlighting old media interviews where Brown gave inconsistent details about how many people were present and when the event ended.
Diddy's lawyers had argued that he had made good faith efforts by showing up in New York, ready to surrender to face these charges, but prosecutors said that he could not be trusted, that he has a history of trying to intimidate witnesses, including some who are going to be witnesses in this case. They urged the judge to remand him, that he has a history of trying to intimidate witnesses, including some who are going to be witnesses in this case. They urged the judge to remand him.
He knows the deck is stacked against him. They've got a ton of evidence. Take the plea deal, dude. Just take it.
Well, my guess is that, because we don't know the deal of the plea deal. At least I don't think we do.
True.
Okay.
But Brown pushed back, saying those interviews were informal chats, not sworn testimony, and that his voice memos were real-time, time-stamped, and captured exactly what he was experiencing in the moment. Hartley didn't ease up. He honed in on Brown's Nevada cooperation agreement, implying that Brown might be trying to butter up the court for a deal. But Brown responded sharply, saying, "The deal is off if anything I say turns out to be false." He made it clear to the jury, "I'm here to tell the truth, not to strike deals." After a brief recess, the intensity rose even further. Prosecutors played the second
decision
voice memo,
guarantees
timestamped
Combs will
just
face
after 3
trial
a.m.
beginning just 4 days from now that will test whether one of music's most prolific figures used his power, wealth, and fame to exploit both women and men for decades.
Elaborate, sometimes days-long parties by coercing victims through drugs, threats, and manipulation. They claim to have video evidence, and some of the accusations echo details from over 70 civil lawsuits filed against Combs over the last 30 years.
Major developments tonight involving the case against Sean Diddy Combs, what he decided in court today, and what this now means, the move coming just 4 days before his trial is set to begin. Here's Aaron Katursky.
In the recording, Brown quietly describes the corridor lights shifting to a dim red pulse, calling it a heartbeat. He mentions that staff are guiding small groups through a set of mirror-paneled doors. Then prosecutors hit with a visual, knock out a still shot from a motion-triggered camera in a nearby maintenance hallway. It shows a housekeeper pushing a cart labeled "Refresh," with a timestamp coming in less than a minute after the radio chatter in Brown's recording. The defense objected, claiming the still frame was just rehashing old evidence, but Judge Subramanian wasn't having it. He ruled the image would stay, saying the jury needed to see multiple sources of evidence to connect the dots. To lock down the recording's authenticity, the prosecution brought in Dr. Maya Chen, an expert in signal analysis. She testified that the background sounds, the hum of the ventilation, and faint music matched across all 3 of Brown's memos. This consistency, she argued, proves the clips were recorded in the same wing of the estate. Hartley challenged her, suggesting the same audio pattern could come from different hallways. But Chen countered, explaining that while the vent noise might be similar, the combination of echo, music bleed, and HVAC rhythm locked it into a specific layout from the estate's blueprints. Then came the game changer. Prosecutors played a voicemail left on Brown's second phone. The voice, identified through forensic testing as a staff coordinator working under Combs, says, "We'll have the heartbeat upgraded and ready." Boom. Another reference to the coded term. The defense jumped in, calling it vague, but Judge Subramanian overruled, pointing to earlier testimony confirming that heartbeat referred to internal lingo for lighting and surveillance adjustments.
Tonight, Sean Combs makes it official. He's rejecting the government's offer to plead guilty and spare himself the possibility of a prolonged term in prison. When asked if he turned down the offer, Combs answered, "Yes, I do, Your Honor," as he stood in a baggy beige jail uniform. Terms were not disclosed, but prosecutors did say a plea could result in a shorter sentence for Combs than if he's convicted.
Federal trafficking, racketeering, and charges beginning Monday morning.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs back behind bars, a magistrate judge denying him bail, saying that there were no conditions that she could conceive of that would make her confident that he would appear again for other court appearances. The judge saying, "My concern is this is a crime that happens behind closed doors."
During cross-examination, Hartley tried to spin it, reading from a housekeeping guide that referred to a heartbeat glow as a fancy lighting feature. But prosecutors weren't letting that slide. They clarified that the guide referenced a constant lighting setup, not the manual overrides recorded in the system logs. Court wrapped for the day, but not before prosecutors revealed they've got one more ace up their sleeve. They're bringing in a records analyst to link suspicious payroll activity directly to the same weekend that Orlando Brown's memos cover. Meanwhile, the defense is gearing up to bring in a hospitality expert and an automation systems exec, both set to argue that lighting overrides and linen changes are just normal VIP treatment, nothing to see here. Judge Subramanian wasn't messing around. He told both sides to keep their closing statements brief and on point, warning that tech talk better stick to the specifics of this case. No distractions, no fluff. As the trial speeds toward its conclusion, the real battle is crystal clear. Brown's voice memos, the synced network logs, and rush order supply records are now the cornerstone of the prosecution's case. They argue it all fits together too neatly to be a coincidence. But the defense is holding firm, claiming it's just the natural chaos of running a luxury estate. No grand conspiracy.
It's going to be such a massive trial, like maybe the biggest Hollywood trial. God knows which way it's going to go. Is it going to go on for weeks? And
Oh, for sure.
Now it's up to the jury to decide which version holds up in a federal courtroom. If you're hooked on this case and want to stay locked in as it unfolds, hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment below, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. See you in the next one. And trust me, it's only getting deeper from here.